Hey y'all, grown black folks talk. Still out on the climb. I'm recording this video the same day that I did the video about Derek Jackson speaking at my church. In fact, by the time you see this, he will be speaking. Now, I'm not going to make you watch that video to know that same name, same spelling, same race, different man. Captain Derek Jackson of our local precinct of San Francisco Police Department. We had to vet him for different reasons, but I'm not going to play with you on that. But as I was out here, I noticed that the wind has shifted. This is my second of the two usual spots on the hill that's usually perfectly wind protected, but it is exceptionally cold and the wind is coming from a different direction. So I had to make sure that I was prepared and bring out one of my scarves. And that sort of is what I want to talk about in this video. This is not a Sunday sermon because I will not be presuming to speak directly from the Word of God because I don't have it in front of me. But what I will say to you today is that one of the things that the Lord Jesus said, when I was on this hill last week, we talked about maybe Mr. and Ms. Gray are exhausted. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe we can't get it together. Maybe we're stuck in playing chattel games because we're too exhausted to figure out what we should do next. What I want to talk about today is if you are exhausted, the main thing that you need to do is rest. Step on faith enough to get some rest. I know a lot of us are worried about a lot of other people and a lot of other things. You're going to have to be honest with those people around you that you have that you can trust. And if you don't have those people, God help you as the winds shift, the fortunes, if you will, shift across the world. You know, as I said about last week, the United States kind of dithered around about whether it was going to pay its bills or not. So that should tell you things are changing. You might want to get prepared, but if you're exhausted, what you need to do is make room for yourself to rest. You know, you may not be able to take a vacation and lay out on the beach somewhere. You might have to find an hour on your lunch break. You may need to take 30 minutes of that, go into a quiet space, put on music that works for you, and just let that stress go. Set your alarms, get back to work on time. You have to actually seek rest. And that's really what I'm going to talk about today, about the fact that nothing comes easy. And you don't get an easy pass because you've been hurt, because you need rest. Nope. That's not how it works. Difficulty level does not adjust itself because of what you've been through. I know that's hard to hear, but we're all adults here. This is grown black folks talk, right? So if you need rest, get that. I think a lot of us do. A lot of us need to give the idea of American consumerism a rest because that's what's wearing us out and driving us crazy. I'm not the only black woman content creator talking about this. And I'm not disagreeing with the channels that really are about you having more money as a black woman because you may need that to get the rest you need long term. I'm not against that. I'm saying, okay, what's the goal? If the goal is to be consumed and be consumed, you know, a lot of people, as I've talked about, are trying to get to the other side so they can be in the chattel maker position. If that's the goal, there's no rest there. And yet it's Sunday. And this is the day when you are most likely to hear what the Lord Jesus said. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you, what's the first thing? Rest. Before he says anything about being in my service, he understood the needs of the people were to give it a rest. It just so happens to be like that. Now, here's the thing. Why do you need to rest? Why do you need to have a clear head? Because nothing is going to come easy. It's not going to come easier because of your situation. See, people want things easier. And this is how, in a country like we live in, people resort to chattel games. Because how do you make it easier? Find a slave. Find someone to manipulate into doing things cheaply for you or free. Find someone that you can break down enough to do that. That's why people play chattel games. They are not willing or not able to do the work that they need to do. And instead of taking account for what it is they need to do to get ready, they revert to chattel games. So in order to get out of playing these games, you're going to need to rest and figure out what you can do for yourself. And do not expect that the way will be made easier. In the Proverbs, the Bible talks about if you want wisdom, you will have to seek after it like hidden treasure. Well, okay, how will we look for a treasure? Okay, we're going to need to find a map and follow it. We may need to have some kind of metal detection tools. We may need to have some kind of shovel. If it's to be mined, you actually have to dig it out with some kind of pickaxe. If it is raw gold or silver, it has to be refined, meaning that we're going to take this and we're going to melt it down at really high heat, and we're going to have to refine that. If it is a gemstone, it will need to be faceted, meaning that you're going to have to hire somebody who has the proper tools to cut it or learn how to do it yourself. Then you have to know, how do you get into the market and who controls the market. Have fun if you find a set of diamond mine and you are not connected with the De Beers family. That's a long story. I don't have time to get into it. But have fun if you're not connected with people who know who Cecil Rhodes is. People in parts of Africa walk on diamonds every day. Can't do anything with them because they don't have the hookup. And unfortunately, it is not likely in this era of time that they ever will. Because what will end up happening is diamonds are not rare. Diamonds will flood the market. So what you want to do maybe is that you would really want to have something that lasts in value. You would have to know something about the nature of gems. Well, diamonds have industrial uses too. You would also know, if you did your study, that the rarest occurring gemstone is actually not a diamond. The rarest naturally occurring gemstone is a ruby. And of course, the rarest natural pearl, jewel, is a pearl. And this is why ancient world considered these among the most valuable. The diamond wasn't even in the picture until Cecil Rhodes and the De Beers made it a thing. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. One of the greatest marketing moves that most people didn't even know were happening to them. There's a lot, though, that goes into making your way in this world and not waiting on someone else. Nothing is going to come easy. So if the greatness of the way is too great for you, what you might want to do is take some rest. I come out to this park and other places in other parks in order to do what? Be able to make sure that in addition to creating restful content, sometimes discussing hard content, but doing it in a way where you have nature to help you process and not feel overstressed, is to give myself time to be in an environment where I can rest, reset my mind. There is a lot going on. We are not yet in the second half of the year. There's a lot going on with me, a lot of opportunity out there. And there's some things that happened this week that almost have me feeling panicked. Almost. But I will say that everybody involved is trying to find solutions to problems. It's just that nobody called or coordinated or anybody else. And because everybody in the black community is recovering from playing shadow games, they just assume that black woman me is just going to move everything around to make it happen. For 33 years in the black community, I have done this already. I'm only 42 years old. Shout out to Themis of Themis and Thoth, who did a wonderful show about the adultification of black girls. I experienced that in probably the holiest, most serviceable way possible, having a whole head of skills that people probably wouldn't normally have for another 20 years. So I would be 62 and have this level of responsibility. But there's a price to be paid for being adultified. And one of the prices to be paid is that now people just assume at 33 years on that I'm just going to quietly move around like the chess piece they think I am. I'm not a pawn, I'm a queen though. Humble, but my Bible says that since there is all are one in Christ Jesus, and there's no distinction made in importance between man and woman, a king priest is a queen priestess. I'm not a pawn, I'm a queen. So I will have to, in the most holy and queenly way possible, I've already started speaking up to the powers that be about some of these decisions and pushing back. And having done it nicely, I'm getting ready to go and ask for even more concessions. I'm not a pawn, I'm a queen. I strive to be a nice one. As someone who has a great deal of community responsibility, and I know what we're dealing with, I'm going to keep saying this. It's going to be my thing for a while. I am not a chattel, but nor will I seek to use anyone else that way either. Other people are not to be moved at my whims, and neither I'm to be moved at other people's whims just because they have a need. And we're all learning this together in my community. So I have a number of things that I've already begun to confront this week, and that I have to continue to confront gently. Because people are no one wins in shadow games. People are incredibly hurt, traumatized, trying to heal. Beneficial Black Man, I'm saying it again, did a wonderful presentation this week. You should really listen to his last long video about long suffering and patience, and about how to fix the problems in the Black community from men's perspective, and how long suffering and patience are necessary. I, had a wonderful reminder about, okay, long suffering, being able to endure is definitely necessary to get any kind of work done. But in order to make this work, you have to find time to rest and recharge. So I'm sharing with you a total of, for the weekend, 20 minutes of that. In front of me are the tennis courts on this hill, out of this big cross breeze. That's why they built them on this side. And people are having recreation, which is also a form of getting rest from the stress of the time. It is very necessary for you to do this. Now, the learning curve on the skills you will have to learn to thrive in the 21st century is not going to get any less steep. The level of responsibility that you have to have, say, for example, when you choose to explore working in the world of blockchain, almost everything you do is a bank and a business combined. So you imagine, okay, the level of responsibility in your life that you have to be a bank manager and a business owner. How steep that learning curve is going to be, in addition to understanding blockchain technology. There is no get-rich-quick plan for this in a bear market. The SEC is doing some interesting things that are causing the crypto market to begin to go downward again. And there's no momentum upwards because, again, there's a bear market. So you have to be able to understand that, you're going to be doing a lot of work. You're going to have to be very diligent, and you're not going to see things that are going to change your financial situation today. But running around trying to quickly change your financial situation is one of the things that keeps us poor, because wealth is built over time, generally. Remember what I said about the Proverbs and wisdom, and about how things have to be dug for as hidden treasure? Well, diligence is the digging process in everything. There's no shortcut. And if that's too much for you, what you don't need to do is find an easier shortcut that's going to take you off the road and cause you to waste time. What you may need to do is rest until you are ready for the climb. There is no shortcut to this point on the hill per se. You can take a bus up on either side of this hill only so high. You still got to walk the rest of the way. There is help out there available for people who want to do things for real. Once you get started, you tend to find the help that you need. I know that there are buses that will get me partway up this hill because I walked all the way up to the top and down again and noticed it. But I didn't know that before I did my work. Today I walked up all the way to here. This is not the top. This is about, let's see, let's look behind us. I'd say we're about halfway, maybe 3/5 of the way to the top at this point. No bus takes you above halfway. It's not possible. If you want to see higher heights on this hill, you can't drive over here. There's no trail that will let you do it. If people had to get in here, I'm trying to think about, no, you couldn't even drive in here if it was an emergency. Somebody's got to come in here and get in here on foot. It's just, that's the price you have to pay. You have to be diligent. In my case, I have to stagger my walking days a little bit. Can't always do this. This is a serious hill every day. I have to make sure to take my vitamins. I have to be sure to take my collagen. I have to make sure I have enough protein in my diet. And since I'm not eating as much as I could before COVID, I have to really be careful about what it is I choose to eat. This requires me to make out my shopping list and my budget a certain way. This requires me to be able to afford the things that I need. This causes me to not be able to do everything I want to do everywhere else. Let me give you another example. Okay, there's a crypto bear market. What does this really mean? This means that people who don't understand how things work are panicking. This means that I have to handle my money a certain way so that I handle what? My investments. And make sure that I have cash on hand to be able to catch these things when they are down, so that by 2025, I have written them back up and are okay for a few more years of sitting out here on weekdays too and getting the rest that I need to handle the high responsibility life that I have without being stressed out and blowing up on people. When inevitably, people who are trying to find solutions but were raised to play chattel games try to do things but forget they need to ask everybody along the line, hey, is this working for you? You're going to need to do that too. This is why I keep saying, give American consumerism a rest. You're going to need a rest to not be a victim of chattel games in either position. I said it in the last video. I'm going to say it again. If you are a black person, the minute you get beyond dealing with black people, if you have a chattel games mindset, you will be put back in your place as the chattel. Just know that this is the situation that you're going to find yourself in. And if you're going to be a chattel maker among black people, you have capped yourself. Because you may meet someone who's free like me who will put you in the hands of people who are more powerful than you are and remove you from the equation. Free people are not going to put up with being made chattel. That's just not going to happen. We're going to get away from you. We're going to find out who's in charge of you. And we're going to make stuff happen. And even people who've been abused for a long time can snap. It's a dangerous game. And see, even if no human being comes to get you, nobody told you you could live as a little Satan on this earth. You keep on abusing people, their power is greater than you, who will remove you from the situations. Believe it or not. Every world dictator has found this out. So if, like I said, day before yesterday's video, guess who's out here on 37 counts? Only one will be sufficient for a life term for a 77-year-old man. I don't want that for you. I want you to give it a rest. I want you to take time, if it's 30 minutes a day to start, to make sure that you get some time to take your mind away from whatever you feel is driving you up the wall and prioritize that rest. Turn off the phone. Find a music player that isn't connected to the internet. Change your atmosphere if you need to do that. That's a way to start. If you got a local park, go to it. If you don't have one nearby, then figure out where the nearest one is, what bus you need to take. And I did a video about how $30 can give you a day of rest. Figure out how people dress in that park and go there. And be there. You know, find a way to rest yourself so you can think clearly about all these beautiful opportunities that are around you. Give yourself a rest from trying to prove yourself in an American consumerist system for a minute. I'm not saying drop your responsibilities. I am saying stop trying to look like white folks. I'm saying stop comparing yourself to other groups of people, mainly in terms of your self-value. Just stop it. And stop listening to people that do that. Just stop. You are not a stat. Your value in this world is not to be compared with a stat. Yes, we need to understand what our stats are, since everyone else who makes decisions in this country is making decisions based on that. But you yourself, your destiny is between you and your creator, and that's it. Your choices, his choices over your choices. And a lot of you don't believe that. So we're going to put it on a level of you will find out what happens as your choices interact with the rest of the universe. But the first thing I said was true, whether you believe it or not. Y'all know it's a Christian channel, so we're going to go back with that assumption. But get some rest. Literally, give the foolery a rest and see what happens to your mind. See what happens to your thinking. See what happens with the feelings of anxiety and depression if you can manage to do that consistently. I'm not saying those things are a cure, because depression, anxiety often has deep roots because of deep trauma, and sometimes just there's medical things that happen with us as well. But do the best you can. to include more rest in your life. You can think clearly and seize opportunities to be who you're supposed to be. All right, y'all have a good day now. Bye.